I don't know how far we're going to go in the parable that we're going to talk about today. Like, we'll see how it's going to go. We're going to speak about, we're going to speak about the parable of the unjust steward. Okay? It's a parable that is only present in the Gospel of what? Luke. Very good. You know how to read. We have to differentiate between the unjust steward and the unjust judge. So that's the first thing I want, because I was confused myself. There is a difference between the parable of the unjust steward that we're going to talk about today and the unjust judge that is also present in the Gospel according to St. Luke. It speaks about what? The unjust judge speaks about what? Perseverance. Perseverance in prayer. Okay? Yeah, I'm not going to talk about this. Maybe we can talk about it one more later. Before we study the parable, I want to give you an idea about how to study parables, because that's very important. In order to understand how to study a parable, it's very important to understand a couple of principles. So when you read a parable, you understand what's going on, okay, and how to interpret this parable. Some people go crazy with the parable and forget something very essential about the parable. I'm going to give you two principles about how to interpret or how to understand a parable. Two principles, very important. Okay. Principle number one is the parable is just a parable. Okay. They always say that a parable is a chair with three legs. Some people try to get something from every word in the parable, and it doesn't work this way. Okay, and I'm going to give you an example why it doesn't work this way. The parable of the pearl. Okay, the parable of the pearl is that a taker, a merchant, found a pearl of great price that he went and sell all other small pearls that he had to buy this big nice one. Okay, this big nice one represents what? This nice pearl. This nice pearl represents what? Christ, or the kingdom of heaven, because this is a parable about the kingdom of heaven. So this is the kingdom of heaven or Christ. Okay. So can I buy the kingdom of heaven? You cannot. Okay? So the idea of buying the pearl does not mean anything. You just buy a pearl. You cannot get a lesson from the idea of buying a pearl. Like, you have to see what does the message behind the parable. There is a message behind every parable. There is a message behind every parable. So in order to understand a parable, don't try to have everything, or what does this mean, and how this is, and you cannot do that. Cannot do that. Some people try to do that, and some people try to meditate in this, and they come up with nice meditation, like they miss the main point. So you can meditate in a parable, you can get nice ideas about the parable, but you cannot miss the message of the parable. And let me tell you the second principle, which is the message of the parable. Every parable has one message. Every parable in the Bible has one message. We come up with 100 lessons, that's okay. But you cannot miss this one message. And how do you know what is the message? From what? How do you know what is the message? How? From the audience. You have to see who is the audience. And usually, every parable ends with the message. So you don't have to do anything with any homework. Christ himself, when he says the parable, he ends the parable with the message. Okay? I'm going to take a very famous parable, the prodigal son. What is the main message of the prodigal son? Guys, hi. Hello. What is the, you finished finals, so you should be okay. What is the main message of the prodigal son? Where is the parable of the prodigal son first? Where? Guys, hello. I know until tomorrow if you don't cooperate. Where is the parable of the prodigal son? I'm not going to say it. John. Well, what did you get in your religion classes? Where is the parable of the prodigal son? Antonius. Now, where is the parable of the prodigal son? Is it in Luke? Yes, it is in Luke. Luke can.
Somewhere near 16.
Huh?
Somewhere near 16.
No. 16, that's 15. Who said 15?
No, I said
That's just كده رقم يعني. Guys, we spoke about the prodigal son 100 times. 100 times. It's Luke 15. Okay? It's Luke 15. And actually, if you read the first words here, he says what? He also said. So that means that he said something before that, and he continues because he also said. It's so beautiful to understand the parables, by the way. So, Luke 15 is the prodigal son. The main message of the prodigal son is what? I'm going to pick names. What is the main message of the prodigal son? That's very easy. Repentance. You know, Chris hours again when you ask you any question, all I've done is love. No, actually that's wrong. Because repentance is a secondary message. Like if the main message is what?
It's no matter.
Huh?
It's no matter what we do, God will.
Exactly, it's God's love. The hero of the prodigal son is the Father himself. So the main message of the prodigal son is God's love. Okay, that God is opening his arms to anyone who comes and come back to him. And how do we know that from the audience? Who are the audience of the prodigal son? The sinners and the Pharisees. So the Pharisees are complaining that Christ is eating with the sinners. So he's telling them the example of the parable of the prodigal son. In order to understand the message, and that we're going to apply this principle strongly in this parable. And that's why I am stressing this. This idea of a main message of the parable is very important in understanding this parable. Otherwise, we're going to go crazy in this parable. Okay? So we have to understand that there is one message, one main message. You can do hundreds of meditations. Like you cannot skip or miss the message of the parable. And the message of the parable, you know from the audience and at the end of the parable itself. It's going to tell you why did Jesus say this parable. Clear? I'm going to say that again because I see eyes, and when I see eyes looking at the floor, I know that you are not you are not with me. I know that. Okay? So there is one main message in any parable. Okay? We have to tackle this main message. You can have hundreds of meditations, but we have to understand one main message in the parable. Okay? And we find out this main message from the audience, and Jesus himself finishes with the parable. At the end of the parable, he gives, and we're going to see that in from verse 18 to 13, I think. Can I continue, or you want to? Whenever you want to start, you're good.
I'm good.
Okay. Guys, this is Damian, by the way. He's the project manager in the Blood Center of New York, so he's here to give us an idea about what we're going to do next Saturday. So put this in mind. We need to have one main message from the parable. We're going to read the parable, and you are going to tell me what are the problems in the parable. What? This is, I would say, the most difficult parable in the whole Bible. The most difficult parable in the whole Bible. I definitely can say it. So who wants to read for us? It's right here على board. Who wants to read? Joe, please go ahead. Sorry.
He also said to his disciples, there was a certain rich man who had a steward, and an accusation was brought to him that this man was wasting his goods. So he called him and said to him, what is this I hear about you? Give an account of your stewardship, for you can no longer be steward. And then the steward said within himself, what shall I do? For my master is taking the stewardship away from me. I cannot dig, I am ashamed to beg. I have resolved what to do, that when I am put out of the stewardship, they may receive me into their houses. So he called every one of his master's debtors to him. Go back.
ازاي؟
And said to the first, how much do you owe my master? And he said, 100 measures of oil. So he said to him, take your bill and sit down quickly and write it. Then he said to another, how much do you owe? So he said, 100 measures of wheat. And he said to him, take your bill and write 80. So the master commended the unjust steward because he had dealt shrewdly. For the sons of this world are more shrewd in their generation than the sons of light.
Okay, so up to here is what? Is the parable itself. Okay, now what we're gonna read is what? The message, the explanation, the message. So in order to understand the parable, you have to know what did Jesus want to tell the people. So that's gonna be from 9 to I think 13. And I say to you,
And I say to you, make friends for yourselves by unrighteous mammon, that when you fail, they may receive you into an everlasting home. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much, and he who is unjust in what is least is unjust also in much. Therefore, if you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? And if you have not been faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon.
thank you. Sorry. Okay, so Joe, since you read it and probably know it, can you, in simple English, tell us what is the parable?
I don't understand the part where he takes and makes account with the other debtors.
Okay,
But
just tell us the parable.
very simply,
Yeah.
there was a steward or like a servant, right? And his master.
What is a steward? Thank you. خلينا نبتدي كده. What is a steward? What is a steward? حرب نعلي ال AC. Can you adjust the AC please? بنو ممكن تعمل حاجة مفيدة في حياتك؟ Okay, thank you. What is a steward?
Isn't it someone that works for the Lord? Or
Someone that?
the Lord of the land or the people? I'm not sure.
Very good. That is, a steward in Arabic is wakil. Okay? What is the difference between a steward and an owner? Is there a difference between a steward and an owner? What's the difference? Money.
Well, I think the steward takes care of what the owner has.
Okay, so the steward is not the owner. You have to understand this very well. I'm trying slowly to make the parable a little bit easy. A steward is not an owner. This sentence is very important in order to understand what's going on. A steward is not an owner. Are you owners or stewards? Stewards. But the problem is that in many cases, we act like owners. This is one of the main things that we have to understand in this parable. And I will say this is the message. That this guy, he is a steward. Like his problem is that he acts like he is an owner. Okay? And that's the message for us. And we are stewards. You basically you don't own anything that you have. You think that your IQ, that your money, that your nice car, that your education, that your talent, whatever you have is yours. Actually, you are a steward. In God's mind, in God's eye, you are a steward. You're not an owner. And understand this, please, because this is gonna help us to understand the God. Okay, so there was a steward, yeah, Joe.
There was a steward, and his master found that he was not a faithful steward.
Okay.
So he was gonna take away his title as steward,
Right.
and he was gonna leave him alone. And
Okay.
the steward said that I can't dig, meaning I can't like build anything, or I can't be a farmer. I have no talent.
I cannot dig and I'm ashamed to beg.
And I'm ashamed to beg. So he had to come up with a new crafty way to take care of the problem so that he can keep his stewardship.
Right. No, not to keep his steward. He's gonna be kicked out.
Okay.
Okay, so it's gonna be kicked out anyway. So now he has to think of a way to basically survive. Okay, he's gonna be kicked out. So what's the idea? Huh?
His family bad.
Okay, so anybody understand? Anybody can continue? So he called every one of his master's debtor to him and said to the first, how much do you owe my master? And he said 100 measures of oil. So he said to him, take your bill and sit down quickly and write 50. Done. What is a bill? Take your bill. عارفين any lawyers here? We don't have lawyers here today. Okay, عارفين حاجة اسمها I owe you؟ مش في حاجة in legal terms اسمها I owe you؟ ايه دي بقى يا مريم؟ So what is an owe you? An owe you something? Go ahead please.
It's like a credit card. You basically buy something and then you have to pay back.
Absolutely. So I got from David $100. I got from David $100. So David is gonna write that I, Samir Butros, I owe David $100. Signed, Samir Butros. So David will take this, اسمها bill or اسمها I owe you as a proof for him, so that Samir one day doesn't come and say, hey, I don't owe you anything. No, you owe me $100 because you wrote an owe you statement and I had the thing in my hand. Okay? It's an I owe you bill. Call it bill. In Arabic, اسمها sunk. Sunk أو كمبيالة. حد سمع كمبيالة؟ Anybody heard this word before? كمبيالة يعني I write I, Samir Butros, I owe David $100. Signed, Samir Butros. So at any time I go to David and tell him I don't owe you anything, well, you know, Habibi, I have an owe you bill. That's what is called a bill. So this steward, you know, انتوا طبعا you are still young, like there is something called power of attorney. ايه power of attorney ده؟ I gave my brother a power of attorney to buy or sell my stuff in Egypt. يعني I'm not there, but he has a power of attorney from me to deal as if he is me. That's power of attorney. So this steward has this power of attorney. He is a wakil. In Arabic, is even a wakil. Okay, so he is a steward, means that he has the master has given him all the power of attorney. He can do whatever he wants with whatever he has. And people who, the commentators or the people who explain this parable say that usually the steward is not in the same place as the owner. The owner is in the city and the steward is in the farms. You have to understand the time when Jesus spoke this. So the owner is somewhere away from his farm, away from what he has. And the steward acts acts like he is the owner because he had this power of attorney. So because he had this power of attorney, he had the right to decrease the amount that you owe, that these people owe to their what? Master. Okay? And that's why he says, so he called every one of his master debtors to him and said to the first one, how much do you owe my master? Okay? And he said 100 measure of oil. What is 100 measure of oil? 100 measure of oil is about, a measure is about 40 liter of oil. So that's about 100 times 40, okay? That's an amount of oil that comes from about 453 of oil. It's an amount, regardless. مش هتفرق يعني الديتيلز. So he said the steward, very good. So he said to him, who is him? The debtor, very good. حد غير مارينا معايا. Take your bill. What is the bill? It's an OU. So take this one. He gives him the IOU paper that has 100. You have to owe me 100 measure of oil, and you write another one and says I owe you 50. And he stamps it. He has the stamp because he is like the owner. He has all the power and the capacity of the owner. He can do whatever he has, and power of attorney to do whatever. If you give someone power of attorney, you have to know that he has the right to ممكن يقلعك هدومك يعني زي ما بيقولوا بالعربي. يعني he can sell and buy and do everything. Okay? So he told the debtor, bring me this IOU bill that says 100 and write 50 or write 80. Write 50 in this part. Okay? And then he stamps it, and then he said him 50%. And sit down and write 50. Then he said to another, and how much do you owe another debtor? So he said 100 measure of wheat, another measure, yani another amount of wheat. And he said to him, take your bill again. Hey, Robbie, this is your you owe me thing, and it says 100. You're gonna write 80. So the master commended the unjust steward because he had dealt shrewdly. For the sons of this world are more shrewd in that generation than the sons of light. And then the message. I'm gonna speak about the parable, and then we're gonna read the message. What is difficult in this parable? Why I said this is one of the most difficult parables in the gospel in the Bible. What is difficult here? Why this parable is difficult? What is difficult here? Then he said to another, and how much do you owe? So he said 100 measure of wheat, and he said to him, take your bill, write 80. The master commended the unjust steward because he had dealt shrewdly. For the sons of this world are more shrewd in their generation than the sons of light. What is difficult in this parable? What we see كده very uncomfortable.
The master praised his dishonesty.
You see, it's يعني you read it. So the master commended. يعني commended. Praised. امتدحه. Wow, you did great. That's what he did. The master commended him. You did great. He commended who? An unjust steward. Imagine I come to you and say, Rahi, wow, you are great because you are an unjust person. That's exactly what the master is saying here. You are great, so the master commended the unjust steward because he had dealt shrewdly. That's a very difficult verse. Imagine the master is praising the steward because he is an unrighteous person. That's what we're gonna explain in 2 minutes. And I say to you, make friends for yourself by unrighteous mammon. Again, this is another very difficult verse. Make yourself friends, make friends for yourself by unrighteous mammon. What is a mammon? What is mammon? يعني ايه mammon؟ ايه mammon دي؟ ها؟ People? لا, unrighteous mammon. And I say to you, make friends for yourself by unrighteous mammon. That when you fail, they may receive you into an everlasting home. What is mammon? روماني, فين روماني؟ ما خدتوش دي ولا الخميس؟ كيلو, what is mammon? Huh? Money. Why he did not use money? Why he used the word mammon? Actually, mammon is not exactly money. It's wealth. Very good. How do you know that? You know it. It's the riches. It's the wealth. It's the wealth. But the question is why he's using the word mammon?
Was it like a deity?
Very good. Excellent. Very good, Jakim. The word mammon is present in the Bible 4 times. Okay? The word mammon is present in the Bible 4 times. Three of them are in this parable. And one more time, the 4th time is in the Gospel of 3 in Luke. And the 4th time is in the Gospel of الآية دي مشهورة أوي guys. It's a very known verse. in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 24. Okay, and you cannot what? Serve 2 masters. It's either you serve God or you serve mammon, and that's exactly the verse here. Or else you will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. And the big question is, what is mammon? Mammon is one word. I think the Greek can have many words that can be all translated one word in Arabic or in English. Give me an example. Many words in Greek that can be translated into one word in Arabic or English. Very famous one.
Love.
Love, absolutely. So the word love in Arabic and in English, they don't come from one word in Greek. They come from many words in Greek, which is what? What are the words in Greek that can be translated into the word love? What are, you know that guys, I spoke about this many times. We have agape love, you have filial love, and you have eros or erotic love. So all these 3 words, agape, filial, and eros, these are 3 words that are into Arabic translated into hope, or in English into love. Like in the original Greek, there are different words. Same thing with this word here. The word money has 6 different words in Greek. 6 words in Greek that can be translated into Arabic or English as man or money. One of them is mammon.
Yes.
هقول تاني. Are you confused? Am I clear?
Very, very clear.
I am, right? Thank you, sir. Okay, so one of the 6 words in Greek that means money are translated into English as man. We have 6 words. 6 words that means money in Greek, and these 6 words are translated money. One of these 6 Greek words is mammon. The word in Greek is mammonas. Okay? Mammon is more than just wealth. Mammon, as Kilo said, absolutely correct. At one time, it was a deity. It was God. That's why he says you cannot serve God and another God, which is called mammon. So mammon is money, is wealth, It riches is what God give you as money, like instead of using it, it becomes what? It becomes a God. So the word money is more than just money. Yes, it's money, like it's more than money because it has a negative connotation. It has a negative meaning. This is something that you worship. This is something that you put your trust in. I feel in God we trust. In money we trust. When we reach the level of in money we trust, money is a man. It becomes a God. I'm gonna go back and solve the couple of problems here. Number one, why this steward is an unrighteous steward? Why the steward here is described as unrighteous? He was what?
Wasting his master's
He was wasting, it's right here. He was wasting his master's goods. As simple as that. He is called an unjust steward because he was wasting his master's goods. خدوا بالكم الماستر ده ممكن يكون في مصر in Egypt and he is here. So طبعا the master ده he doesn't know anything about what's going on. Okay? I bought a chair for better $5. I bought a chair for $15. Okay? And I take the $10 in my pocket. Or I buy something that really is not needed. He is wasting his master's goods. So that's easy. Now the problem is, then the steward said with himself, what shall I do? على فكرة, what shall I do? But a lot of people that I read is the same statement that who said the statement like this before? رجع إلى نفسه. Came back to himself. أيوة. أيوة قولي. Who came back to himself? The prodigal son. And that's why he also said, we're going to see, I don't think we're going to have time today, like we're going to see a huge relationship between this chapter and the chapter before. Okay? So what shall I do? For my master is taking the stewardship away from me. I cannot dig, I'm ashamed to beg, I have resolved what to do. He decided, he knows what to do. That when I'm put out of the stewardship, they may receive me into their houses. So he told everyone, واحنا عارفين القصة دي and we get into this. طبعا the problem here, so the master commanded the unjust steward. The master commanded the unjust steward. How can we explain this? How can we explain a master commending or praising an unjust person? He commended him for what? For his and because he has dealt shrewdly. يعني shrewdly. English. Sure, يعني shrewdly. The English. Cleverly, with wisdom. Wise. بحكمة in Arabic. Wisely. Okay? So how are we going to solve this? How can a master praise an unjust person? How can the master praise? Anybody has an idea? Can help us?
If he's unjust, so that's good. Praise an unjust person. If
the master is unjust, well, يعني that's an assumption.
Yeah.
It doesn't say in the Bible that the master was unjust. I'm going to answer this question and we're going to be done and then we're going to continue the explanation next time. The first thing I want to say is that the master did not praise his unfaithfulness. He did not tell him, hey, bravo, عليك, you are a thief. He did not tell him that. He did not praise or commended his unjustness. He did not praise him because he is unfaithful, but he praised him or he commended him because he had dealt shrewdly. يعني بحكمة. يعني he has done well. He is not praising him for what he did, but he is praising him for his wisdom. الwisdom دي اللي هي ايه؟ انه هي come, give me the bill, instead of owe you 100, write 80 or write 50. So by decreasing the amount of the debt, he gained friends. Okay? And then after that, and I say to you, make friends for yourself by our righteous mammon, that when you fail, they may receive you into an everlasting home. He was faithful. For the sons of this world are more shrewd in their generation than the sons of light. For the sons of this world are more shrewd in their generation than the sons of light. I'm going to explain this and I'm going to be done. So the master is not praising the steward because he is unjust, like he has praised him because he had an eye on the future. And that's why he dealt shrewdly. He dealt shrewdly, يعني برافو عليك. You thought because you are going to be kicked out from the stewardship, because you're going to leave the stewardship, he thought, ما قالش خلاص بقى I'm going to be a beggar. No, he started thinking of something that can help him in the future. And the praise or the commandment here is not because he is unjust. I'm going to say that again. The praise or the commandment is not because he is unjust, but because he dealt shrewdly, which means that he had an eye on the future. And that's one of the main messages of the parable. And what we do now is going to have an effect on my what? My future, which is my eternal life. And that's the main message of this parable. And he is praised because he thought that what he is doing now is going to affect his life after that. And that's what Jesus wanted to say. And what you are doing now with money, with your wealth, with your mammon, is going to affect your eternity. What you are doing now with what God has given you is going to affect your eternity. So the question is, how are you using what you have now? That's a very important message, guys. And we think that we are owners, as I said in the beginning. So I do whatever I want. It's my money, it's my wealth, it's my talents, it's my time, it's my IQ, it's my whatever. If I have the mentality of I own the things, we are unfaithful stewards. Like if the right mentality is what I have now is not mine, and what I have now, the way I use it is going to affect my eternity. The way you use what you have now is going to affect your eternity. So the way you live now, the way you use what God has given you now is going to affect your eternity. So God has given you money, has given you time, has given you wealth, has given you high IQ, has given you a talent, صوتك حلو, or you have a nice voice, or you know how to draw, or you know how to promote a blood drive, or whatever you know how to do. If you don't use it now, the way you use it now is going to affect your eternity. And that's why he was praised, not because he dealt unfaithfulness. And that's why he says, for the sons of this world are more shrewd in their generation. The sons of this world are هم أبناء هذا الدهر. People are secular people. Secular people are more wise, more shrewd in their generation than the sons of light. Sons of light are هم Sons of light are هم Children of God, right? So he's saying that the children of the world are more shrewd than the children of God. Yes, Allah? Yes. And look around us, how people. I'm going to give a very stupid example, but I'm going to give. If you go to an auto show, who went to the auto show last time? Okay. Who greets you and who tells you, Ta'ala, come drive and greet you and welcomes you? Who does that? Girls. Because I know, the people know that if they have a nice girl in a certain way, they can attract people to come and see the car and see it happens. And it happens in the auto show, it happens in many he's saying that the people of the world, they know how to promote that stuff. Like we are the sons of the light. We are not as wise as these people. They know how to promote what they have. Like the sons of God, we don't know how to promote what we have. And that's the main message. That this person, this steward, this unjust steward, he was wise enough. Guys, خليكم معايا please. This unfaithful steward was wise enough to have an eye on the future. لكن the sons of God, we live our life and we don't have an eye on our future.
But doesn't that mean that he stole the money by reducing the debt?
Okay, so there are many interpretations for the idea of how he decreased the debt. Okay, one, guys, خليكم معايا please. Okay.
Can you repeat the question?
Go ahead, Musa, repeat the question. Musa بيقول did he steal the money because he reduced the debt? Whether he stole or his problem. Number one is that he wasted the goods of the master. That's number one. Number two, did he steal or not? Is not clear from this part. It's not clear from the part. Some people, and I like this explanation, some people say, and I don't know if you're going to understand this one, interest in the Old Testament was something forbidden to take. Okay? So if I take from David $100, I should return it how much? If I return it 120, then I said but that's against the law. Because the Jewish law in the Old Testament prevents what is called riba. Riba is interest or dividend or fawaid. If I take, according to the Jewish law, if I take from David 100, I have to return it 100. Mafish interest. I cannot return it 120. So this guy, what he was doing, the master was doing, in order to appear as if he is good with the Moses law, with the Mosaic law, he gets from David, I take from David 80, and in this I owe you bill, I include the interest. So the I owe you becomes 100. So this 100 includes the main money plus the interest, but it doesn't show, so that people won't know. Okay, so there are these two things that he wasted his money. He's not really a thief, like he played something. Again, the master did not praise him because he wasted the money or because he was a thief. He did not do that. He praised him because he dealt shrewdly. He was wise enough to think about his life and what he's going to do after he is kicked out from the stewardship. You have to understand that he is not praising him because he was unfaithful, like he praised him because he dealt shrewdly. And he dealt shrewdly, or he dealt with wisdom with his debtors, means that he had an eye. When he was acting now, he had an eye for his future. And that's the message of the parable. That what he's doing now, when this steward was doing now, he was doing it with an eye on the future. And that's, again, the message, that's the take-home message of the parable. And you guys, and I'm very serious with this, forget about anything I said. Like what I want to say, and what you do now in this life is going to affect your eternity. A wise person will do things now and has an eye on eternity. It's not like I live my life, I'll do whatever I want to do, and then أحتاس بعد كده, and then get lost after that. Okay? What you do now in this world with what God has given you, because you are a steward, you're not an owner. You are a thief. If you use what you have as if you are an owner, because you are just a steward. Okay? And the steward would use what he has now with an eye on eternity. He did not praise him because he was unfaithful. He did not praise him because he was wasting the goods of his master. Like he praised him because he dealt now with an eye on the future. So the message is deal now with what you have with an eye on eternity. I said it 100 times, 100 languages. I hope you get it. Next time, we're going to talk about another difficult part, and I say to you, make friends for yourself by unrighteous mammon. Imagine I'm having unrighteous money, okay, and God is telling me make friends with it. That's going to be next time. But in the hard time, we tackled at least one big difficulty, and here verse 8, so the master commended the unjust steward because he had dealt shrewdly. Again, he did not praise him because he was unfaithful. He praised him because he dealt shrewdly, because he thought now for his future. We live now as if there is no eternity. Believe me, that's exactly how we live. We live our life now as if there is no eternity. And he was commended because he acted now with an eye on eternity. Next time, Bardo, we're going to talk about the relationship between this parable and Luke 15 and Luke 16, another parable, Lazarus and the rich guy. They are all related nicely, very nicely in the book of Luke. It's a beautiful book, the Gospel of Luke.